You know that sound, don't you? The sound of an afternoon with mates. The sound of hours of fun, of friendship. But this video isn't about the good times. This video is about the dark side of table tennis. The story of a crime syndicate rigging matches to make millions in illicit gains. This is the true story of the largest scandal in ping pong history. And for the sake of transparency, I had an enormous amount of trouble researching this topic, and as a result, some of the statistics I discussed may be outdated or just flat out wrong. Some of the corporations involved had no available information online, and I had to draw some conclusions as a result. So please take what I say with a little grain of salt. Match fixing. You have probably heard of it. In baseball, basketball, or even in sumo, it is an enormous issue. It is the practice of manipulating an organized sporting event to make a predetermined outcome take place. For instance, someone kicking the first goal, a team losing on purpose, or missing a penalty. Knowing that the game is rigged, people can then place bets on these matches knowing that they are going to win. And people make an enormous amount of money as a result. I found out about this rabbit hole when in December of 2020, a well-known former table tennis player by the name of Adam Green was arrested for using insider knowledge of fixed matches to place 1,170 bets on European table tennis matches that he knew had a predetermined outcome. He made over $430,000. One of the police officers, Superintendent Martin Fileman, who was responsible for his arrest, had this to say about the chain of events.
They knew who was going to win the match before they put the bets on. We can show, through evidence gained during the strike force, that direct money transfers from the head of the syndicate to people very, very closely linked to these table tennis games in Ukraine.
It appeared that there is a vast underground table tennis gambling setup, spanning an enormous scale and involving more people than you would initially imagine. But I did a bit more digging and quickly realised that there was far more to this than originally met the eye. The iceberg was only just a speck on the horizon. When you think of sports that people bet on, horse racing is probably the first to come to mind. But you'd be surprised that there is a game that is hidden under our noses that is the gambling titan. A game that makes more money than every other sport. Ping pong. You see, due to the pandemic, mainstream sports have experienced a lull in matches played due to restrictions, so stranger international sports have taken their place on the gambling scene. William Hill, a large gambling corporation that I'm sure you've heard of, said that since 2020, table tennis has been their largest source of income, with over $1 million worth of bets being lodged on Russian table tennis every single day. And the largest league in Russian table tennis is called Liga Pro. Founded in 2016, it is a semi-professional league that seems to have hundreds upon hundreds of matches played daily. It is owned and ran by a group called the League of Professionals, a corporation who also has a hand in organising and hosting hockey, volleyball, soccer, basketball and esports tournaments. I tried to search them up and do a bit more research into who and what they are, but there was literally no information available anywhere. Even searching in Russian reveals nothing, just a bunch of League of Legends nonsense, which was obviously no help. The website of Liga Pro was just as incredibly useless, being in Russian, but even when it was translated, you can tell it's just generic, ambiguous text with the sole intent of not giving anything away. They clearly have an enormous amount of influence though, with 5,696 players being enrolled simply in their table tennis sector. Comparatively, the NBA only has around 500 players. Liga Pro makes the largest Western sport look like a mere speck. There are a few other tournaments in Eastern Europe, including Ukraine's Setka Cup as well as the Win Cup. All of them are played inside these little depressing rooms with thousands of contestants taking part. None of these competitions are formally acknowledged by the International Table Tennis Federation either, an initiative that is there to ensure that the rules of ping pong are adhered to in the largest competitions, and that the integrity of the sport is being maintained. The fact that Liga Pro isn't a member should be setting off all sorts of red flags. In a sport like NFL, it is very, very hard to fix a match, because you either have to have the entirety of both teams on board, or you have to be certain that a player or referee will have the chance to and know when to throw the match in a way that isn't suspicious, which is incredibly hard to pull off, compared to ping pong, where it is just a one-on-one with an umpire, and that's it. If you try to lose on purpose, you can just miss a few shots and nobody will ever be the wiser. If you are rigging these one-on-one competitions, you can just bribe one player to lose and you can just place the bets on the other, knowing that you are going to make a fortune. Because at the end of the day, the players of Liga Pro and the Setka Cup are only semi-professional. They aren't making much money, so why wouldn't you accept a potentially life-changing bribe? The International Betting Integrity Association is well aware of this fact and reported 44 instances of so-called suspicious betting last year for table tennis, making it the third most suspicious sport behind only tennis and soccer. For reference, horse racing only experienced 7 alerts last year, showing just how sketchy the ping pong scene really is. There was a similar scandal where bets were placed on the Victorian Premier League soccer competition in Australia. It's relatively small and quite irrelevant, to be honest. It's effectively the seconds of the Australian-wide competition. Nobody really cares about the VPL, yet the group of gamblers still made $2 million from betting on fixed and rigged matches. If that much money is being made off some small soccer tournament, I strongly doubt that the ping pong scandal ends with Adam Green. We can easily draw some connections between these cases. The Liga Pro, the Setka Cup, and the Victoria Premier League are all semi-professional and amateur competitions. They get paid less than professionals or nothing at all, and would be far more open to the temptation of bribery. These competitions also have far less media coverage and regulation. In the NFL, if somebody blatantly throws the game, people will talk and investigate. But nobody cares about Joe Average Smith, who plays ping pong in Ukraine, to warrant an investigation into the conduct of these amateur leagues. It's the perfect cover for an enormous crime syndicate. And I'm sure a legitimate investigation into other competitions run by the League of Professionals would reveal some forms of deep-rooted corruption. It's happened in almost every other